So let's move on to the race day app. So our race day app is something that we rolled out in the beginning of this year. We've gotten great adoption around this. There's a lot of people that are really excited about it, event directors and timers both. We have a total of about 375 events that are currently being used that are using the race day app. And if you were to break that down, iOS definitely has the lion's share that is being used more on iOS devices. So we've got 46,000 devices using iOS, and we got about 20,000 for Android. So all in all, we can go in there, we can do some cool metrics. We've learned a lot by with this app. We have around 52,000 hours of use just around the tracking portion. So that's great engagement. We're really excited. We're happy that event directors are excited about it, and we're excited that you as a timer have something that you can easily deploy and toggle on for any of your events. So the Race Day app has a number of various features. It has a start list. It's got a course map, so you can put an expo map on there. You can do branded photos, so you can have a little overlay when you're taking pictures. So if you want to throw up a sponsor or a logo on these photos, and they can be shared immediately on social media. It features GPS tracking. We have push messaging. So if you want to send out an update to everyone saying, hey, start is being delayed 30 minutes because of weather. Those are things that the Race Day app allows you to do. And the other thing that is, I think, that event directors really like about it is the fact that it's really customizable, right? It's fun for the event directors to go in there, rebrand this thing, choose your app, choose the different features, move them around, et cetera. So all the features that you can do with this are quite large. I think there's 15 or so, or 12 up there. So the thing that's nice about this is that you can do this right inside of CT Live. It's really easy to do. If you want to have this toggled on, or by show of hands, has everyone used the Race Day app? Has anyone not used the Race Day app? Okay, so we've got a couple people that haven't used the Race Day app. So like I said, a lot of people are excited about it. You toggle it on for an event inside of CT Live. You can go in there and just talk to your account manager, and they're happy to toggle this on for you. And then once you go in there and you do that, anyone who has access to the event as an event director or a timer can go in there and configure this. So you can go in, you can choose your features, and then you can manage those. So the first thing that you want to do whenever you're configuring this is that you just got to plug in the name of your event, put in your date and your time zone, but then there's an optional ChronoTrack ID in there. And if you put in your ChronoTrack ID in that field, what we do 24 hours before the event begins, we start checking for new athletes in the event, and we push those over into the Race Day app. So if you ever wanted to force that manually, you can just go ahead and push that button, and it will look for all the athletes that are in the event inside of CT Live, and it'll automatically bring them over, as long as they have a bib number. So if they don't have a bib number, they're not going to be pulled into the Race Day app at this point in time. But as you're doing dynamic bib assignment, it's constantly looking for those people, and it's pulling them over.
If they're pre-assigned, will it pull them in right away as soon as they have a bib assigned, or will it still wait until 24 hours out?
It'll still wait 24 hours out. If you want to force it, you can hit that button, and it'll pull those athletes in. So you can go in here and you can customize this too. You can change the background in this adjust appearance section. It's really easy to set these things up. You go in there, and the first step is like the required fields that you have. Then you choose the individual features that you want to toggle on. If you have any questions about any of these things, just click more, and it tells you a little bit about what that feature does. And then after you select those features, you can dive in and you can start configuring and managing those features. So if you want to put in different URLs, or if you want to go in there and you want to make an expo map, for example, you can upload a PNG or a JPEG picture. Once you get that in here, you can draw little boxes around everything, and then this is great for some marquee events. So this allows them, before they go to the event, if they want to see what all is at the expo or what's on the event, where the things are on the course, you can go in here and you can make these little hot spots, and so for the athlete, it's just really easy to figure out where they want to go and what they want to see. The coolest feature of the Race Day app is the GPS tracking. So this allows for an athlete to be able to run with their phone, and their phone is a GPS tracker. and it sends that information up to the server where we track where they are, and spectators can follow those people who are participating in the event. You can go in here and create your own route. So it has a little click thing where you can go in there and you can design your route. One thing that I like to do is that it also supports the ability to upload a KML file. So you can go in there and you can do that. But what I like about uploading a KML file or having some sort of external GPS tracking thing is that events are pretty annual, right? So you're going to be using that same course or that same event usually year after year. So I invested in an external program that just allows me to go in there and you can convert like GPX. So if you wanted to walk the course or ride the course with a bike, you can go in there and you can save these, export them, convert them, and that way you can make edits really easily and you can use them in the future. So just that's a little tip. I discovered that. But however, once you upload that KML file, this is the route for the Jericho race that we're going to be doing this afternoon. You can go in there and you can make further modifications. You can choose whether or not to show mile markers or kilometers as well. So that's something that is pretty easy to go in there and to adjust. One thing to note with the Race Day app is that it does only work with GPS for tracking for the time being. We did investigate looking at using results from CT Live in order to predict where people were going. We had a couple issues with that. One was kind of around the UX. Like this whole thing is designed with GPS in mind. So whenever you're looking at that map, it was a little bit confusing. Like, is this person moving with their phone, or is this a tag read from an individual? Also, if you're doing a 5K and you have just a start and you really don't know what that pace would be, right? So for the time being, with the Race Day app, it's GPS only in terms of tracking, but we are very, very, very interested in the tracking of athletes by their tags, and so we have a lot more of that planned in the future. Not sure if it's going to be living in the Race Day app in the near future, though. Question?
So you're saying a participant should run with his cell phone. Are you asking them to download and install Race Day app from a participant?
That's correct.
What
Yep.
do you rather than the event director or timer using their version of Race Day app? Is it the same Race Day app?
Yes, so that's a great question. So the question was, does a participant actually run with their phone? And the answer is yes. So the athlete themselves will go in and download the Race Day app from the App Store. And then that app on the phone is the GPS device. So you can track from the same device, and you can also spectate from the same from the same app. So yes, I think that, right?
Is there a limit to how many people can you track?
I don't believe so. I think you can go through 10. Never mind. I don't have 10 friends, so I've never hit the limit. Yeah. Yeah. I'm still hoping. Accept my friend request. So yeah, do you guys have any questions? Any more questions about the Race Day app? We've got a lot of adoption from it, and people are excited about it. So I definitely want to have. Yeah, if you guys have questions.
So we ran into some usability with the tracking feature where it was confusing for people because it said track a runner or beat. The language was kind of ambiguous where it wasn't very clear. So somebody wanting to track someone would log in and type in a bid number, but they were on the wrong side of it. Like they wanted it to be tracked. Yeah. So
Okay.
I want to track you, but you're running the race, and I put in your bid number, and now the Race Day app thinks that I'm you.
Yep.
So it was kind of confusing.
No, that's good feedback. Luckily, that's something that should be pretty easy to iterate on and to improve. So we'll definitely look into that. I'm not sure if you've met David Dimmer, but he's one of our UX people. I think that's on the scavenger hunt thing where you have to go meet people. So you should tell him about that. But to be fair, he didn't design that,
Right.
but you should still let him know. Yep. Matt?
We had some usability issues with participants that they just don't read, and they didn't realize they wanted to be tracked, but they didn't hit the start button
Yeah.
when they crossed the start line.
next year we'll have more communication leading up to it. But is there a way for you guys to, if I have the hospital hill run downloaded on my app, and we know that race is going to start at 7 a.m., is there a way to push the tracking function to start?
So my recommendation for that is probably to use the push messaging and to just remind everyone, 5 minutes beforehand, like, hey, you got to hit the go button. I know that that's not the sexiest way to do that, and that's one of the challenges with tracking people based on those tag reads, right? Is that we don't know the last time that we see someone at the start. So for big races that have waves of people that leave, it can be difficult to know the last time that we read that person. So it's difficult for us to know to say, okay, this person officially started. And that's a challenge that we're overcoming, and that we have plans to correct before we implement the grander tracking feature with tag reads. Right?
So I've got a race that's very hands-on. They want to do it all themselves. So if they wanted to use the race day app,
Mm-hmm.
I could just have them set up as race director level admin, and they could do it all themselves, or do I need to build it out a little bit and then they can?
They can totally do it. So you give them that event director role. You may want to go in there and just see what they're checking and everything like that. And the nice thing about this is that since this is all in the cloud, right? You can check their work. It's just it's the same thing that's nice about CT Live is that you can have a group of timers, right? You can check in to make sure that people are like, oh, well, their min accepted time's not right. We should probably fix that. So yeah, if they have access to that event in CT Live and they have the right role, anyone can view it. So that is something that is totally possible, and the event directors can really get down and dirty.
Can you remember to repeat the question, please?
Yes. I already forgot that question, though. Oh, that's how come you didn't accept my friend request. Cool. Yeah. Okay, so that's pretty much what I had for the race day app. Absolutely. Yep.
So for race day app, since we launched it in January,
We're friends now.
since we launched it in January, there's three, I think, relevant things that we were kind of surprised by or learnings we had. One was when we announced that we were releasing this, we said it's free to the timer. If you're a CT timer, you just get it, monetize that however the heck you want. And we've seen a huge spectrum in how timers have actually done that. From zero, don't monetize it at all, just use it as an extra value add, as a retention tool, or as a differentiator. We've had timers say, I'll offer this service, I'll do the maintenance for you for 50 cents an athlete, $1 an athlete, so they've kind of gone the per athlete model. And we've had timers that have charged a flat fee, anything from $500 to I think $4 or $5 grand, something like that, to offer the app. So there's a huge spectrum in how timers have chosen to monetize it successfully. Again, everything from zero to lump sum to per athlete. But I don't know if on the timer portal or in this forum or wherever, if anybody wants to have a brainstorm how you actually make money off the thing and use it to differentiate, there's a lot of options out there. Then two other use cases that I thought were interesting that kind of emerged over the past couple months. A lot of what Nick showed was using the race day app for the event itself, right, as an extension of the event. Two alternatives we've seen are using it for volunteers. So timers coming in and saying, I'm going to create kind of a volunteer module for you. So if it's ABC race, and if you do the course map and each dynamic point, let's say water stop 1, water stop 2, and a split, whether it's for the volunteer captain or a course marshal or whomever, to actually be able to show people before that race happens, hey, you're the water stop 2 captain, here's what it should look like. Set up the tables on this side of the road, here's an actual picture of it, this is what we want it to look like, make sure you don't cross this threshold, blah, blah, blah. The volunteer one I think is pretty cool, underutilized, but potentially has some value. And then we've also had some timers, particularly those that have large crews, where they might be sending a crew off to a particular race site and not actually attending themselves, that might say, I want the halfway split to look like this. Here's where you put the lines. It should actually look like this. Here's a picture of it. Here's a video clip of it, whatever. So just keep that in mind, that in addition to the actual race director use case here, an extension of the race, you can use it for yourselves as an operational tool and a training tool for your crews or your staff. And again, I think the volunteer one has some real potential.
I heard, I'm just going to text and send you online.
Kevin, in his talk, I heard him mention that someone might be using it in a training sense as well for people that are doing like a lead up to a marathon or something.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
So we find that the best use of the race day app is if you include it in a confirmation email, something like that, you have that user from the moment they register through the 90 or 100 days until the race actually happens. That's when we get the most utilization and the most impressions from the thing, when it kind of becomes the bridge between reg day and race day. When 24 hours pre-event, you blast the thing out, you'll get a lot of utilization, and you'll get users, you'll get impressions, whatnot, but you've missed that entire 100-day window, right? You missed the bridge, the opportunity to create the bridge. From a training perspective, you can ultimately do whatever the heck you want with it, but I think the potential is if you did a push notification once per week with a tip of the day, whether it's a nutritional or tip of the week, nutritional, stretching, training, hill practice, repeats, whatever the thing is that you want to coach people on, there's the opportunity for that, all of which can be sponsored, whether it's in imagery, content, or video. And then because there's that video library, that's the place where you put whatever the heck you want, again, from a fitness or training perspective. So race day nutrition tips, training tips, stretching tips, cold weather tips, whatever the heck it might be. The way that works best, again, is if it's in a confirmation email and it becomes that part of the bridge, you get like kind of unlimited potential to hit them with nutritional training, whatever, all of which can be sponsored. That's the primary use for training.
What are some of the larger events we've done? Honolulu did it, right? They used the race day app. And
Patron used it. Honolulu, Hospital Hill,
Miami.
OKC, Miami, and many more.
You too could use the race day app.
Who's next?
All right, so before I hand things over to Dallin here in a second, the only other thing that I'd like to mention about back to the CCS is we really, really want your help in testing that. So if you have a spare line that you can toss up there and exercise, and we want to make sure that when we flip that switch that we are 100% confident and reliant on it. And typically how we do all of our testing is that we go to events and we deploy our equipment in real world environments. And so it's really important for us for you to kind of help test that a little bit and exercise it. So we'll put more information on the Timers Forum and to let you know where this is and where we are in the progress. But we certainly want to make sure that race day goes as smooth as possible for you guys, so you can help. So, and then I'm going to let Dallin hop up here, and he's going to tell you a little bit more about the Athlinks mobile app opposed to just the race day app.